The funeral was silent until the German shepherd began barking at the coffin, refusing to stop. At first, everyone thought it was grief, but when the barking turned frantic, a strange tension filled the room. Officer Daniel Granger, a decorated hero and beloved husband, lay in the casket while his loyal K9 partner, Rex, sat at his feet in his black police vest. But Rex wasn't calm. He let out a sharp bark, then another. His eyes locked on the casket as if sensing something the others couldn't. Whispers spread through the crowd as Rex's barks grew louder, echoing off the chapel walls like a desperate alarm. When an officer tried to pull him back, Rex resisted, claws scraping at the polished wood. The widow froze, her heart racing, realizing this wasn't grief. It was a warning. Veteran officers exchanged uneasy looks, recognizing the intensity of a trained K9's alert. Something was wrong. Officer Bryant, Daniel's close friend, approached and crouched beside Rex, whispering, "Easy boy." But Rex barked harder, fixating on the base of the coffin. Then he began circling it, sniffing, whining, and tapping with his paw, until a faint, muffled cry echoed from within. Bryant's blood ran cold. The color drained from his face as he turned sharply to the funeral director. "Open it! Now!" Gasps erupted through the mourners, confusion and terror mixing in the air as the impossible realization began to dawn. Daniel Granger might not be dead after all. Open the casket now. Officer Bryant's voice cut through the stunned silence as Rex growled again, pressing his nose urgently against the coffin lid. The hinges creaked, and the air grew heavy as the lid slowly lifted. Every eye in the room froze when they saw it. Nestled beneath Officer Daniel Granger's folded hands, wrapped within the folds of his uniform, was a tiny, squirming newborn puppy, alive. A ripple of disbelief spread through the mourners. The creature's fur was still damp, its fragile body trembling, its nose twitching as it searched blindly for warmth. Rex's demeanor transformed from frantic to tender as he peered inside, tail wagging softly, a protective glint in his eyes. How is that possible?" someone whispered. The priest crossed himself, trembling. "Is this a sign?" Officer Bryant leaned forward, heart pounding, and gently lifted the fragile pup from Daniel's still chest. As he did, something slipped loose, a folded note tucked beneath the officer's jacket. Bryant's breath caught as he read Daniel's handwriting across the front. "If anything happens to me, please take care of them." "Them," Bryant whispered aloud. A collective gasp filled the room. Rex barked once, firm but gentle, his gaze fixed on the puppy, as if confirming the message his fallen partner had left behind. In that instant, everyone understood. Rex hadn't been barking out of grief. He had been guarding life, protecting the last piece of his partner's legacy. Daniel hadn't just trained Rex to follow orders. He had trusted him with something sacred, loyalty beyond death. As tears rolled down faces once filled with sorrow, the room transformed from mourning to awe. Officer Bryant unfolded the note with trembling fingers, the chapel falling into utter silence as he began to read the final words of a man whose love for life and loyalty refused to die with him. Even the priest stepped back, speechless at Daniel's foresight. Officer Bryant's hands trembled as he continued reading aloud, his voice breaking with every word. "But if Rex is still with you, and if by some miracle she made it too, please know this wasn't an accident. I knew she was coming. I kept it a secret because I didn't want anyone to panic or stop me. Rex and we've seen things most people can't understand. But we always understood each other." The crowd fell completely silent, every breath caught in their throats. Bryant swallowed hard and read on. "She was born the night I went missing, in the cold, alone. Rex didn't leave my side, not even when he could have run. He stayed. He guarded. And when I closed my eyes for the last time, I only hoped someone would hear him bark." The room broke down, tears flooding faces that had moments ago been carved in grief. The puzzle was finally clear. Rex's desperate barking hadn't been sorrow, it had been purpose. A warning. Plea. A final mission of love. Daniel's sacrifice hadn't been about himself. It had been about protecting a fragile new life he never got to hold. And Rex, loyal to the end, had fulfilled that mission. Later that evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, painting the sky in gold and crimson, the newborn pup slept soundly beneath a soft white blanket inside the precinct's K9 office. A nurse who had attended the funeral wiped her eyes as she whispered, "It's a miracle." Despite the cold, the hours of isolation, and the impossible odds, the tiny life had survived. Rex sat silently beside the crib, eyes soft but alert, his body still and his heart watchful. The loyal guardian had completed his duty, protecting the last heartbeat of his fallen partner's legacy. Rex's usual stiffness had melted into a calm protectiveness that none of the officers had ever seen before. The once stern K9 now sat quietly beside the tiny crib, his eyes locked on the fragile life he'd saved, his chest rising and falling in slow, steady rhythm. Officers walked past, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others stopping to rest beside him in reverent silence. This wasn't just a rescue anymore, it felt sacred. When Amanda, Daniel's widow, entered the room holding the folded letter tightly against her heart, the air seemed to shift. She knelt beside Rex, tears streaming freely down her cheeks. "He knew," she whispered, voice trembling as her hand found Rex's fur. "He knew she'd need you." Rex leaned into her touch, his posture soft, steady, and full of quiet understanding. Amanda gazed down at the newborn pup wrapped safely in the blanket, her voice breaking as she said, "She'll grow up knowing who her father was, and the dog who saved her life." Officer Bryant stood nearby, eyes glistening, unable to speak. "He never stopped protecting," he murmured finally. And with those words, every officer in the room nodded in solemn agreement. The department decided unanimously, the puppy would stay with Amanda and Rex. She would grow up not just surrounded by love, but under the watchful eyes of her father's most loyal friend. In that moment, everyone understood the truth. Rex hadn't barked out of fear or confusion. He had barked because life still remained, because hope still breathed, and because loyalty, real, unwavering loyalty, never dies.